Okay, this is my first video in English and it's going to be about this book that I read. At first, I wanted to just make a video to just practice my English, which is something I do occasionally on TikTok or maybe on Instagram. I thought it could be more interesting and maybe more easy to talk about a specific topic. The main goal here is to practice my English and force me, I could say, to talk about something during a certain day, certain time. This video might be short because I don't feel really confident and it's my first video. And yeah, let's get into it. Firstly, I am going to make a general presentation of this book, and after that, we're going to, well, as you can see, I have put a lot of marks here, so I'm going to use quotes that I have chosen. We're going to reflect on it and talk about it. I will try to explain what I understand about the quotes, and yeah, let's get into it. As you can see, I have put a lot of marks in this book, but I have selected some of them. I wanted to say that I'm a little bit stressed and not really confident. I'm not really sure about posting this. I don't know if I'm going to post this, but if I do, I think I will be a little bit proud of me. So this book is written by Eckhart Tolle. I read this book in French, so I'm going to try to translate it and I'll do my best if my memory serves me right. The title in English is The Power of Now. Yeah, that's it. So this book mainly talks about how and why we should be more focused on the present moment, and it explains that we're suffering most of the time because we're focused most of the time in the future or in the past. We're overthinking the past and we're also overthinking the future. I mean, the future we want to have, the potential future, which triggers the pain we feel most of the time. I think I'm not going to sound natural here because I'm stressed. Making a video to me is a little bit stressed. It's a really impressive exercise to me. Anyways, let's just continue. So the author insists, he emphasizes observing our thoughts without identifying ourselves in them. To him, our thoughts are not ourselves. He also explains that most of the time, our thoughts are just our ego who creates those realities in our mind, and that's why we overthinking, and that's why we create negative scenarios in our mind, and that's why we overthinking. Also, he teaches us that we should take the present moment as it is and welcome it as it is, and just accept that the only thing we have is now, is the present moment. He also insists in the fact that the past and the future don't really exist, and what we call the future or the past, they're just souvenirs, and sometimes it's just our interpretation. And these books also gives us practical exercises so we can live more mindfully, I could say. Yeah. So the first quote is liberation in the mind. It says that the secret of freedom is the present moment, as I said before, and it says that you cannot get in the present moment if you're still trapped in your mind. How to say that? We are too much addicted to our thoughts. That's why we overthink scenarios in our mind, and he shows us how our mind keep us behind, keep us trapped. And I realize that our brain just loves negative thoughts. It loves negative thoughts because when we think about things that happened before, back in the days, we think that thinking about them and making scenarios about them and just, overthink it and say, oh, if it happened again, I will do this. I should have done this. It's like thinking about them and make scenarios that suit us. And it's just a way for us, just something that you do to just make you believe that you still have control, which is not the reality, because things that happened before, you cannot change anything about them. So overthinking them is not really helpful for us because it keeps us behind. and we need to just go forwards and just be in the moment present. So for example, here Eckhart Tolle explains that the only thing it will trigger to you is worries. It will bring you just pain, which is something you don't really need. It also says that worrying about the future, worrying about what could happen tomorrow or the next year, the next month, instead of be focused on what's happening right now, will make you a prisoner of the past. The next quote is, don't look for yourself in your mind. Here it says that your real self is not in your mind. Your real self is not your thoughts or your inner voice, you know, the voice who sometimes or most of the times think about you negatively. If you identify yourself, you just create a false sense of who you are, and the true self is not your thought, but the person who observes those thoughts. The next quote is, end the illusion of time. The mind and the time are connected, and it said that when you stop to living in the past and stop to living in the future, your mind doesn't control you anymore, because the past gives you a sort of identity, and the future a sense of promises, but it says that it's just illusion. The present moment again is all there. So yeah, the past and the future keep us in a sort of bubble of illusions. You might think that, oh, if I do this I will be happy, if I get the promotion I will be more happy, but Toll says that it's just illusion because that doesn't exist. All we have is now, and it encourages to appreciate small things like talking with a friend, breathing, eating. He says that it's just how we connect with life. The next quote is emotional triggers and presence. This quote was one of the quotes that really touched me. This quote resonated a lot with me because that's something happen, I think, often to all of us. When we have a situation and that situation triggers negative thoughts, stress, we usually tend to overthink things and just say that, oh my God, I should have done this, whatever. And stressing situation can push you out from the moment present. But that's exactly where we should be strong. And Toll suggests a strong awareness during this moment, this kind of moment. He basically say that if someone says something to you, something bad, criticizes you, instead of reacting automatically, you just have to learn to observe your feelings. You have to say to yourself, I see this anger, I feel it in my body, but I'm not my anger. So processing this way will stop you from being worried about what others could say about you, and you will be carried away from your emotions. So yeah, he teaches us that being aware of our emotions instead of just reacting automatically will just permit us to be more on control, and we will be able to decide what we should do. Yeah, so that's it. Being aware will bring us more control in our life. The next quote, how to use psychological time. Here the author explains the difference between psychological time and clock time. And he says that psychological time is when you spend your time to think about the past, think about what you did before in the past, regret things and just overthink things over again, or focus on the future and think about the future and what you could do, what you will do in the future. It's really when you constantly reliving past experiences again and again and make scenarios about them and feeling regrets or feeling guilty about things you have done before, or just worrying about the future. For example, if you overthink the fact that you failed last year or you have done a bad thing 5 years ago, that's what he calls psychological time. And the opposite of that, it's what he calls the clock time. And what he calls the clock time is when you use time for your daily life. For example, when you plan something, a trip, when you plan to do something, using your past experience in a good way, it's what he calls the clock time. So you go back in your mind, in your past experiences, to take useful information, to plan something in the present moment or for your future, for example.